We live in a world that you can basically build anything. The question now is, should you build everything? And I already see products that have a lot of features that people don't really care. Why do I have this option here? Who is using this? For whom? So that's why having a proper vision to what you're doing might be so important, why PMs still are valid. The Gemma 2B, its benchmarks are on par with Gemma 3B, which was our best model last year. So our best model last year is our smallest model this year. It's almost a 10x decreasing size.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of AI Without Borders. I'm thrilled to have Gus Martins. Gus is a product manager at Google DeepMind, where he has become a core contributor to the Gemma models. Google recently launched the Gemma 4 models that are a series of open models that fit on-device and offer high performance. But most importantly for this podcast, Gus is originally from Brazil. Gus, it's great to have you here.
Hey, nice to have. Thanks for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here.
So you have been working as a PM on one of Google's latest models. How similar or different is the PM role when you're working at a foundational model versus being a PM at, say, a traditional SaaS product?
I think one aspect for the difference of being a PM on a frontier lab is things move super quick. Everything is changing all the time. So I guess traditional planning for the next 6 months, for the next year, it's very challenging because your plan could just change because a new technology just show up and they're like, no, we have to adapt to this new technology or this new concept or things that the community really loves. So you cannot do plans that go super long and you have to be able to understand and adapt whenever needed. And I think this is one of the changes, right? Because if you have it's similar to having like a startup where you have sometimes to pivot to something different, right? You're doing a product and then the market change, we have to change what we're doing here. So I think that's pretty different. Whenever I talk to my colleagues, other PMs in other areas of Google that are they're doing more traditional products, I can see the difference, how they envision things, their planning, their roadmaps and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this you're doing planning for December. I have no idea what's going to be happening in December. I know where the direction is, but things keep moving. So I think this adaptability and be able to see what's going on and understanding that, I think I don't know if it's unique, but it's something we have to do.
As you think about being a PM at a research organization, does that change the natural flow of the PM? Meaning, in a process, you have the PM that thinks about the different products, features, give it to the engineering team develop that feature. But in here, does it change? Is it more the research team produces this novel new approach and they give you, and based on what they have, with what they give you, what can we make with this? Does it change the natural flow of the PM design?
There's a little bit of that. Of course, we help on the definition of the models. We kind of say, hey, the models have to be at this level and do this kind of capabilities because we know what the community is looking into and we can see the kind of the directions of where things are moving. And one of the things we did for Gemma 4 specifically is improve on its coding capability. And as you can imagine, these models take a while to train. It's not like, oh, let's do this for tomorrow. No, it takes a couple of months. And when we started discussing, said, no, the model have to be not this good, but have to be very good at coding capabilities. So we'd have this part of directing the product. We work a lot with the researchers because we cannot just invent anything. The research has to do it, right? So but we still do the vision of where we want to be, features that have to work. So there's still that part of the vision. I guess it's more than that. It's more than just being a lab. I think with all these, everyone work with AI, everyone having access to very strong models, every role will change a bit, but the PM is always the what and why. Because when you have that, you can explain to anyone like, we are doing this because of this, and you can see the rationale here, so people can back you up, say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, let's go that direction. So this is pretty important, I guess, for every PM, but for us specifically, because our launches is a couple of months away always, right? So
No, that's an interesting challenge. And speaking of challenges, one of the other things about being a PM at a foundational lab is that like those models serve a very horizontal base of user that is like very non-homogeneous. So I'm curious as a PM how you think about it. Do you optimize kind of for the lowest common denominator, or do you take an opinionated approach?
For user base, of course, we monitor what the community is doing. For example, we have to pay attention to what kinds of phones and computers people have available to them. We cannot create something that needs 500 gigabytes of memory, right? Nobody has that. Even for enterprise, it's pretty hard. So if you want regular developers to use, we have to think about that. That's why we have models that fit on 8 gigabytes of memory. If you have a computer with 8 gigabytes would work. But we also have larger models for enterprise that have like stronger GPUs, like that. If you have H100 or something like stronger than that, we also have an offer for you. So what we try to do is have a version of the model for different sizes, but we try to keep the capabilities and quality at the top on every size. They will have different, right? Because there's so much you can put into a model, but for their size, they should be the best possible. So this is how we try to see. We cannot have one that fits all, but we have a few that fits most of all, let's say like that. So that's how our rationale to define. And as you said, since we are the base for a lot of things, it's important to us that the capabilities we offer empower all of the others. So the other thing that was pretty important this year is agentic capabilities. More, it's coding is one, but agentic be able to do chat, function calling, understanding, follow up on other function calling, and aggregating this information. This is very, very important, and we see a lot of users that direction. So this is also something we paid a lot of attention since last model.
And speaking of capabilities, for those who have not read much about it, can you share more what was unique about the recent Gemma 4 models? How is it different from the Gemini models? Like, where does it excel at?
That's a pretty good question. First of all, how Gemma is different from Gemini. Gemma is based on Gemini, but Gemini is a proprietary model. It's the best proprietary model, the best model Google have, period. The problem is proprietary models are amazing, but they have constraints, let's say like that. They will run on Google servers and you can only access them through an API. So that's how it works. For most of the people, maybe this is the best option and that's fine. But for some people, they need more control. They need to run on their own premise. They need to run on their own hardware. They want to own everything for multiple reasons. Maybe for legal reasons, maybe for compliance reasons, maybe because you want to run offline. And for all of these people, Gemini, no matter how great it is, it cannot solve because it's a different paradigm, right? So that's why we have open models. And Gemma is the open model from Google. And so this is how they differ. So I would say that Gemini and Gemma, they complement each other. Whenever one model cannot be used, the other can be used. So this is a pretty full, that's not complete. We give all the options to developers, right? Developers can have the best model or also run on their machine if they want. That's the thing. What did we do new for this version? I guess the Gemma 4 models come in 4 sizes, a 2B and a 4B, which are phone size, right? Or IoT or Raspberry Pi, Jetson Nano size, small, pretty strong. And then we have a 26B mixture of experts and a 31B dense, which are the flagship ones, the ones that are very, very strong. The 26B is a mixture of experts, so it's faster. And the 31B is raw power. It's dense, but it's a little bit, it's bigger, right? But that's where, if you high quality response, that's the highest we have. And all of them are pretty good benchmarks, but let me call out some details. The 31B, as of now, might be the 4th best model, open model on Lamarina. And then you'll say, Gus, 4th? Is that your target? 4th? If you look at the other 3, they are 700 billion or 1 trillion parameter models. Ours is 31 billion. We're talking about like 20 times smaller, right? And this is a disproportionate amount of intelligence per size. So, and we are pretty close to them, right? If you look at the benchmarks, it's close. So we are talking about something that can run on your computer against something that needs multiple H100s. So in terms of cost, it's way cheaper and we have very close quality capabilities. And if you're going to serve these models, it's even better because you have your cost per token is way smaller. So even being smaller models, they're very, very strong. We're very proud of it. And the community is noticing. That's pretty cool. In terms of what's new, the model, all of them have a vision. They can see and they can generate. They all only generate text, right? They're multimodal to text, right? They see and they can type and can generate text. The smaller ones, they can also do audio input because they are for phones. So you can talk directly to the model. All of them have thinking, so you can enable them to do chain of thought and do thinking as it's pretty common. Function calling is also something that we pushed a lot, coding capabilities. And I guess the big difference from, not big difference, all of them are pretty important, but I think one important aspect is that we changed our license. Until Gemma 3, our license was a Gemma license, which was good. It's a custom license that you can use for commercial use or regular license. There's a problem with a custom license. If you try to adopt this on an enterprise or on your company, right, your legal will come to you and say, can we use this? And then they'll have to evaluate the license. And we've talked to enterprise, large enterprise and sovereignty. Their lawyers might take 18 months. And then in 18 months, any model is already like from the Stone Age, right? Compared to where you are. So that doesn't work. People cannot adopt in some situations because the legal process takes a long time. So we moved to Apache 2.0, which is, I guess, what people were very excited. I guess the excitement come from, oh, you're Apache 2.0 now. And yeah, but the models are great too. So that was a fun one. And now it enables more companies and enterprise to adopt the model more freely and easier. So I think those are the main features that come out of top of my head. Those are the main ones, I would say.
The other thing that I was reading about that you promote in the website is that you promote people fine tuning the new Gemma 4 models, and with fine tuning seems that we have like waves in 2023. Like people were like fine tuning. It had a lot of momentum. Then I would say like 2024, 2025, it went away. You rarely heard it. Very few companies were really fine tuning. Now seems to maybe be making a comeback. But from a Gemma 4 perspective, why do you think fine tuning makes sense? And when do you recommend the users and the companies to fine tune the Gemma 4 models?
That's a good question. When should you fine tune Gemma 4 models? That's a good question because the more the models become stronger, they can basically do any task, right? And better and better. And then in the past, you would fine tune to improve the model for a specific task, and then you get better results. And now you might not need because the model is already great. But there's a lot of stuff that the model will never be good at is on your proprietary data because no model was trained on that. So if you have your processes that you do internally on your enterprise or the way you speak, for example, if you want to make the model have a response in your style, in the style of your company, in the style of your startup, or even your country, right? The way the model you want to use for a country, you might need to fine tune. You can try prompt a little bit, but at some point you might just say, you know what, I'm going to make it talk more like we do. And this is one place where we've seen people trying to do already. For Gemma 3, there was that already, people trying to make the tone and the way the model speaks a little bit different, using maybe a different vocabulary, speak more informal. So this is the kind of thing that people can do, learning the data from proprietary information. One thing we had in the past was model, you would teach Gemma to speak other languages. That's still valid because the model it knows about 140 languages, but it doesn't know all 140 on the same level it knows English, right? Because there's not so much data about all the languages. So there are two things here. One, the model might be already great on your language. You should run a benchmark and see. For example, Portuguese is very important to me. And there is a benchmark from a European government, and Gemma was number 2 in Portuguese from all models. And then you say, oh, again, Gus, you cannot be number 1. Well, number 1 was Claude Opus, which is like a super expensive model. And it's like, that comparison is like almost insane, right? We're number 2 in that benchmark with those models. So this is pretty strong, but maybe for some other language that has less information available, you would fine tune Gemma for that. It might answer maybe okay, but maybe you can fine tune to do it top tier, right? So this is another possibility. And since our vocabulary is so diverse, it's easier to teach other language to it because it has seen maybe all the languages. It's definitely not good in all of them. being 100% honest, but you have to try to see the benchmarks and maybe you fine tune for that. So there are some cases where you fine tune but again, you should always start trying with prompting only, but you might get to a point where you fine tune. And this is the other advantage of an open model, right? You fine tune and it's yours. Now you own, you can have it for as long as you need. There's no deprecation, there's no hidden rules. It's just you can use, and this is very important, right? So because fine tuning costs money, you don't want to do that like and then after 6 months, oh, now I have to, I don't know, give a report to Google. No. It's yours to do. Not that GMLS you need to, but there's no hidden clause anywhere. Just fine tune, it's yours.
And for people in the audience who might be hearing and saying like, yeah, actually, I think based on what I'm seeing, I might be interested in fine tuning. How have you seen in terms of like, how much amount of data do you think they need to be able to fine tune successfully, and how technical you need to be able to do it?
That's a good question. Depends on exactly what you want to do. So if you want to change the tone or how the model replies or this kind of more preference changes, I think a reinforcement learning with maybe 200 data points could work already for you, because then the model will just understand that the behavior should change. So it doesn't need that many points. If you want to teach a new capability or a new language, we're talking about a way harder problem. Then you need way more data, way super well processed to explain. So that's another thing. You could also try to teach the model about specific tools you have. So instead of, you can add them to the prompt to do function calling, but you can also do some further fine tuning to make sure the model uses your functions better. So that's a thing that you can also do. And that also, I don't think that needs that many data points. So, but in the end, depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to teach a new language, a lot of data. That's I would say it's not like a weekend project, to be fair. It might be more than that. And of course, not everyone needs that. But if you want to change the tone or create a different persona that's more ingrained in the model, maybe 200 points and some reinforcement learning can get you there.
No, that was a good framework for that. The other thing that we spoke about is the E2B and E2.4 models push heavily on device. What are some of the things that you're seeing these new Gemma models being capable to do on device that a previous generation of Gemma 3 models were not able to do?
So I did a presentation this week, and I show a slide where we see the capabilities of the model improving from Gemma 2, Gemma 1, 2, 3, 4. The Gemma 2B, which is effective 2 billion parameters, its benchmarks are on par with Gemma 3B, which was our best model last year. So you can think that our best model last year is our smallest model this year. It's almost a 10x decreasing size. And what was 27B last year can run on your phone now. So this is pretty strong, right? So the model became way smarter. Aside from benchmark wise, because benchmark is cool, but you need to really go deeper, right? And the E2B specifically, they can do coding, they can do function calling. So if you want to create a local assistant that you can talk to, both of them would work because both have audio. So you can give them functions, explain to them, you can, I don't know, open a tab or open this app or run this command on the command line. And you can talk to it and say, hey, by the way, can you run that command for me? And it can follow all these kind of instructions. We've seen people doing some small games on device, completely on device, even create the game from scratch from on device. You create the game and then you can have the model inside the game. So other cool things I've seen people putting these models on Nintendo Switch already, which is something I was like, oh my God, this is the person that did this really have a lot of time and understand a lot about this. So there's a lot of cool stuff, but all on device, they enable cool stuff. So because the model you could talk to it and it can open Google Maps for you if you give the proper tooling, right? It can add to-dos to your to-do list. You can do a lot of cool stuff completely local, completely offline on your phone, right? So this is very, very strong.
And based on what you're seeing, it seems like we're in a curve where like performance is exponentially increasing by each generation. If we extrapolate a little bit and the trend continues, and at least these on-device models keep becoming better at these small sizes, how would that change the role of the cloud and like especially all the cloud models? And like, where do you see that future of like hybrid on-device plus cloud models going forward?
We already see hybrid for Gemma, right? Because we can do Gemma and use Gemini as the master brain, right? Because it's way smarter. You could have Gemini, call Gemini as a function, let's say like that. It's like, do you know when you're in those quiz shows and you can call someone for an answer? That's kind of, oh yeah, let's call Gemini for an answer here. Or for a planning. I don't know how to plan all of this. So you can ask Gemini to create a plan, and then a Gemma model can execute the plan, because then we just follow the instructions. It's a simpler task. So this is a thing that we see happening. I don't know if next year the next B will be as powerful as our B from this year. That would be incredible, which would mean that our B from next year would be so strong that it's not even imaginable. But we don't know, right? It can happen. That's why this field is so fun, because things just keep improving. We keep learning new techniques. So I think there's always going to be, of course, a cloud model because sometimes you just need to process on a lot of docs, do search, go back, find, process, go back, do again, or try to create you're creating an app, but then the model creates an app and then there's a bug. You have to go over again. This is not the thing you would do on a phone, maybe on your computer, but with a server API would be even better or faster, because the servers will be always faster on the cloud. Even if you have a pretty strong one, you can have like a cluster with the model, and then it's way faster. So I think there's always going to be the cloud perspective associated, but we can do more and more completely offline. So you could have your computer here, and if you think internet's a distraction, right? It's pretty. I try to do work, research, but then I keep notification, messages, email, social networks. It's like, no. Let me go offline, but I have my LLM to help me. So I have my docs to work on, and I have my LLM that will help me work on them and cross-reference and summarize and all of the stuff, completely local, or on a plane, for example, on train or underground. So this is the kind of thing that's pretty powerful, but I think that we always have the cloud for super fast whenever we need. And for enterprise, right? Things will be on the cloud where they are properly served. So there's this point, I guess.
Now that hybrid feature will be interesting to say the least. And the other part that people don't know about is we've been speaking a lot about your role as a PM, but before that, you were a senior developer advocate for a long time. What did you learn during that time? How to capture the developer attention, how to build that developer love, and especially any tactical advice that you would give to the new generation of developer advocates that are coming in the market?
Yeah, I was DevRel for 9 years. And I guess I learned how to properly listen to feedback. And there's a lot of kinds of feedback, right? There's those that just want to say bad stuff. Those you kind of, yeah, whatever. But there's people that even when they are not super, I wouldn't say polite, maybe they're not so subtle giving feedback. They're coming from a place of, no, I want this to improve. I want this to get better. And it takes a while for you are the face of the product to the developers. And sometimes people say stuff like, oh, this is kind of mean, but sometimes they're just trying to really help make something better. So I learned a lot on how to deal with feedback. And I learned that for someone to give you feedback, it's because they really care, right? Because it takes time. Someone has to go there and spend their time to help you do something better. So that's something that I really value. Another thing I learned is whatever you're doing, whatever product you're a developer advocate, you should know that product as the best way possible. You should be able, because you're going to an event, people will ask you all random questions you can imagine. Sometimes not connected, sometimes really they know more than you. I talked to many people they knew more than me. It was always challenging, but super fun. So being confident that you know what you're talking about, that makes a huge difference. And it may not show, but people will see that you know. They will, whenever you talk about it, they will perceive like, oh, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. It's not just someone going over a deck presentation. No, he knows. And this is important. So if you are a developer advocate, please be the user zero of your product, be the best user you can have. That from a product manager perspective, that's amazing. I talk to people, give me feedback, and they bring me, oh, I did this is the process, this is all I did. I was like, oh, okay, thank you, let me try to help fix that out. I still do some of that. For Gemma 4 specifically, maybe I'm the person that tested the most the model among everyone, even the researchers. I created my own evaluations. I have my multiple spreadsheets of prompts and categories and stuff that my vibe test, let's say like that. I guess I test, I'm not saying I test more than everyone, but I test a lot because I wanted to, whenever I'm in an event, people come say, Gus, can Gemma do X task? I want to be able to tell them from my experience, not only from what's in the docs, but no, look, I tested something similar and it works like this, or it doesn't work, or it's amazing. So I feel that that gives more, it's more authentic and and look, I've been giving presentations for many years. I cannot lie to people like say, hey, yes, it's amazing, perfect. Because I know in the next presentation they'll come back and say, hey guys, you told me it works and it's not working. And being out externally and getting that it's almost scary, right? So I want to be able to be there when I say something, that's exactly what's true. Because if you're saying only what's exactly true, there you don't need to rethink later. And I remember one time, still in DevRel, I was giving a presentation to maybe, I don't know, 300-400 people, I don't know, a lot of people. And our product wasn't great. The product we were talking about wasn't super great. And the first question, someone, hey, why do your product sucks? And like among everyone with a microphone, I remember that person's face. And then I had to, hey, we're working to make it better. We understand competitor X, Y, and Z is doing great. But if you try to use on these use cases, it would be amazing. And at that moment, I was like, but it's part of the job, right? Some people are less subtle than others, let's say like that. But it's a fun experience. And I strongly, if you're never out, I like the role very much. It's pretty fun.
No, but I think there the point that you raised around transparency, based on my personal experience in life in general, like, yes, you might have shortcomings, but if you're transparent about it, I think people prefer that versus saying you're the best at everything when you're not. I know we're over time. I did wanted to get your take about the future of the PM role. There's been a lot of talk about of two camps. One camp that is saying the PM it's going to be the most important role in the future. They are the ones that understand a bit of the what of a feature and a product, and that's going to be more important than ever. And then there's another camp who are actually arguing the opposite. The PM role is going to disappear now that you can remove a bit of that middle layer that you had before and short circuit the process between the engineering team and the customer. Where do you sit on that camp? What do you think the future of the PM role looks like?
Of course, PM is the most important job ever. No, but one thing that it's an interesting take. We live in a world that you can basically build anything, right? You can just go to Gemini, hey, help me build this. Gemma, help me build this. The question now is, should you build everything, right? And then comes the PM, which is the person that said, no, we should build this feature because of this reason. And this is very important because in a world where you can build anything at a cost that's lower, because people can just prompt whatever feature or stuff, do your product needs everything, all the flags, all the options? It can help some, but does everything help? And this is where someone has to come and make a decision saying, no, we do this. This is how we frame it, because it's not about having everything. It's about having what works for the developer, for the user, not only developers. I think PMs, given that, I think the PM role is very important because he should be the person that makes that decision, right? Takes into account all the requirements and what people are talking about, what external people need, what internal products need, what the research can build, what the engineer can build, and then aggregate and make sure that we have a unified narrative of what's going on. I think that's important because you need that person to be able to be accountable, to lead, have the vision. So that's how I try to see my role, right? Be accountable for the wins and the losses. Everything that, we did great, we didn't do great. I don't care who implemented it. In the end, it's Gus' problem. Let's say like that, right? I was there. I helped build this. So, and do better. And then we do a problem, we do better later. But the idea is I think we need this person. I think it's more important now because in the past you would have a list of features. People would decide which ones and then we monitor. Now the list of features is basically all possible, like everything. Let's do everything. Do we have to do everything? What's the one that gives the most impact? What people really want? And I already see products that have a lot of features that people don't really care. It's like, why do I have this option here? And then there's a new menu option that you're like, why does this exist? Who is using this? For whom? And the fact that you can build everything also, you have to maintain everything. So now every new feature that you can quickly code, someone will have to quickly fix whatever came with that. And that's also adds up. So that's why having a proper vision and direction to what you're doing might be so important, why PMs still are valid.
Oh, Gus, and with those takes, I really enjoyed the conversations, and thank you for joining me.
Daniel, thank you very much again for the invite. It was pretty fun talking to you.